You're listening to the Wired for Impact podcast. So let's get into the hydroponics space here. So you got a container shipped to
hmm
you. Why hydroponics? Why did you get into uh, plants?
I do believe, again, this is because of the pandemic, everybody became concerned about where their food was coming from. You had people lysoling their produce and just doing ridiculous things.
Hmm.
And when it comes to the food, the things that we put into our body, we shouldn't be concerned about that. But and then when you start thinking about the number of hands that touch your food in traditional farming and how much land it takes to do traditional farming, how much water it takes to do traditional farming, and what you are destroying in order to do traditional farming, I knew that going inside is what I wanted to do.
Mm.
And hydroponics in this situation, in the setup that we have, it allows for me to get almost 3 acres of produce in 320 square feet.
That to me is so fascinating because we tend to think that you need the acreage to
Mhm,
produce, and I'm seeing this trend growing a little bit with the container, the produce
mhm.
container boxes and whatnot. It's crazy to me. So how
Yeah.
many, like, what is, first of all, what are you producing, and
Mhm.
like how many does that feed in a period of time?
Oof. I mean, the good thing is that I'll start with the second question. It's year round because we're not encumbered by the weather, so I can grow 365 days a year. And in terms of how much that can feed, once we're on our growth cycle, every week I can have 900 heads of lettuce coming out every single
Amazing.
week.
Wow.
And it's a very quick turnaround, which is another reason why what I love about controlled environment agriculture is that you can replicate nature and give the plants exactly what they need to be their best selves.
Yeah.
And you're still understanding and learning about the plant life cycle and about nutrient deficiencies and learning about what goes into the food because that is what's coming into you and going to give you what you need. And so it's the nerd in me, love that part of it. And then the fact that I don't have to put my hands in dirt. And so that spoke to me, and it is really truly, I think, the future. It going inside and going up vertically is really where the future is when it comes to food production.
Hmm.
The challenge that we face in hydroponics is the relationship that we have to traditional farmers. We are a farming country. I'm from the Midwest, so Illinois is one of the biggest corn producers. And so that is battling that old school mentality of I got to get out there and get my hands dirty, got to be on my tractor doing all it to get past that to really think how do we secure a future when it comes to food production because we can't sustain what we've been doing.
Mm.
And to me, controlled environment agriculture answers that question of how do you secure your future of food production? You take it inside to where the outside elements don't impact what you're growing, and you can always grow. And you
Mm.
don't get like a flood or a heavy rain and it completely destroys your crop. And you have to start all over again. And you can't start over to the next season because, that's how traditional farming works. And so that's what really spoke to me is the impact, the quickness of in the turnaround. When we started farming, we planted our first seed March 1st of 2021. And by April 15th, we had our first harvest going out the door.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, one of the reasons why I got into microgreens was
Mhm,
for that very reason. I tried to do the traditional, putting something in dirt outside, and it took me months to get
mhm.
a handful of soggy beans. And I was like, this
Yeah.
is not. There's no way I'm going to be able to do anything with this. And the turnaround time was so appealing to me because I figured I'm going to fail at this, so I want to fail fast. I want to figure
Mhm.
out my lessons quickly, and yeah, within 30 days, I'm producing
Yeah.
platefuls and platefuls and platefuls of nutritious, incredibly good for you greens. I was like, this is
Mhm.
fascinating. That's the other thing too. Psychologically, you eat these things. I saw something online the other day that said, I think it was with chickens, but this could be applied to hydroponics as well. It's like it's it's the beginning of a conspiracy theorist because when you try your own produced microgreens or hydroponics, and you A, taste how good they are.
Mhm.
B, your body goes, oh, thank you. Like I've been needing these nutrients and this is so delicious. You start to wonder like, well, how come why are we not getting that in the grocery stores? And the conspiracy, the tinfoil hat stuff starts to come into play. But
But it's not a conspiracy. I mean, it's when our food system is controlled by like two, three different companies.
that's the conspiracy to me, though. I'm like that's where you start to realize the difference between your locally grown stuff versus
Yep.
what we get. And you go, why are we not getting the higher nutritional, the fresher, the better
Mhm.
tasting stuff? You know what I mean? Like, so not to say that, feeding millions of people isn't an easy thing. I'm sure it's not. But anyway, I just, my body felt different when I ate
It
my
does.
own locally, organically grown produce,
And
you
that's
know?
because psychologically as well, you know what you put into it. So there's a sense of peace. And
Yes.
how we think about our food is what our food will do for us.
Mm-hmm.
And when that sets in that I did this, I grew it, I know what I put into it to get it, it does it, you can't help but
it,
feel
it's
good.
it's hard to put into words because I know exactly what you mean. Because when I started doing it, and you literally watch these little beautiful plants, sprout up and they grow, and then you have sustenance from it.
Hmm.
It's hard to put into words, but there's a
Yeah.
psychological, like, yeah. And God created, like, it just, the miracle of life right in front of you. I
Yeah.
don't mean to get cheesy
Yeah.
about it, but it's like, it really is a profound thing when you watch it happen right in front of you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Wired for Impact. If you're interested in creating and expanding your impact, be sure to visit us online at impactnow.com.